Unlock your full potential with Brain and Focus, a powerful supplement designed to boost mental clarity, enhance memory, and sharpen concentration. Made from a blend of scientifically proven ingredients like ginkgo biloba, omega-3, and essential vitamins, Brain and Focus is crafted to fuel your mind. Our process ensures maximum potency and effectiveness, delivering the perfect balance of brain-boosting nutrients. Take just one capsule daily, as prescribed by your healthcare provider, and feel the difference. Whether it's powering through your workday or staying sharp in life's challenges, Brain and Focus keeps you at the top of your game. Stay sharp, stay focused, and stay ahead with Brain and Focus. Brain and Focus, fuel your mind, achieve more. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
Karibuni sana family. Good afternoon to everyone who's listening on the radio, everyone with us on Rumble, BitChute, on YouTube. Karibuni sana once again to another episode of the Africa Today Show. Hope you guys are having a wonderful, easy Tuesday so far. 14 minutes past the top of the hour right here in the 254. And of course, Karibuni sana once again to all the returning listeners, subscribers, and to also the first-time listeners. If this is your first time, kindly subscribe and welcome to the Black Hot Fire Network radio station. We get to discuss, of course, different matters affecting us globally as Africans, and of course, bringing a conclusion into every conversation that we're having right here. But before we get started, I'd love to remind you once again, if this is your first time, subscribe. Download our app, very easy for you to find on the Google Play Store. If this is your first time right here, if you're using an Android device, you can find us on the Google Play Store. If you are an iPhone user, you can find us through our active website link. And of course, once you've done all that, check out these amazing supplements I'm sharing on my screen. I just shared some Brain and Focus formula with you guys and the benefit it comes with. But not just that, we have these other supplements here, very affordable. We're talking about vitamins, proteins, amino acids, beauty, hair, nail, skin essential, food and beverages, and also some natural extracts. We are starting with the multivitamin bear gummies, which is under the vitamins. You can find yourself the vitamin D3. You can find yourself the green superfood, complete multivitamin, all coming at a very affordable price. And if you get to check actually under the beauty, hair, nail, skin essential, we're not letting you guys, of course, behind for the ladies, also for the men, not just for the ladies, also for the gentlemen. We have some alpha energy. We have Brain and Focus formula. You can get it under the beauty, hair, nail, skin essential. We have the cognitive support. We have colon gentle cleanse as well, and it is all organic, literally. No chemicals here. We're not talking about Nigerian products here, okay?
All
This is
organic.
all
And if you can find, and if you guys on YouTube, just go to the YouTube page because it's also on the YouTube channel too. Inside of YouTube, I don't got all the stuff I got on the website, all the stuff some there. So
yeah. We
let you know if you're on YouTube, the store's right there too.
Period. Period. We also have some amazing coffee. If you are a coffee lover, we have you covered. We have mushroom coffee fusion coming from the Lance Mains and the Chaga. We have Manuka honey coffee. We have the hemp coffee blend, medium roast, and the Brazilian blend. And last but not least, we have on our natural extract some moringa pure. We have some platinum turmeric. We have lion's mane mushroom and some honey goat weed. We have turmeric gummy bears and so much. We have CMOS and other amazing featured products. So ensure you guys check that out and just check it out, add it on your cart, and purchase these amazing supplements. If you've been looking for organic supplements, for those who have been looking for moringa, maybe some turmeric, maybe some lion's mane mushroom, we got you covered. Shea butter, we have some amazing. This is raw shea butter. I love me some shea butter personally. We have bee pulp powder. We have aloe cool cucumber soap, all organic. So you guys ensure you purchase these amazing, amazing supplements with us and ask any question before or after the purchase, and you'll be answered. So karibuni sana once again as we get started. On today's conversation, we shall be talking about why people psychopathic behavior towards black people throughout history, literally. And this comes with the video I'll be sharing, the videos I'll be sharing, which actually take us down all the way down to histories. We have the Red Summer history, which happened in 1919. We'll be discussing on that. We have another video which actually also discuss about the injustice. Talk about injustice generally. Black people globally, we've been facing injustice, but this has been happening literally throughout the years. And I'd say when it comes to the Black American, you guys, I'd say the history is really, most of the black, not really most, but black Americans have really gone through a lot. When sometimes I'm doing research, I'm always like, God damn, you know, as much as we keep talking about, I think corruption is way better than racism. I'm not trying to like defend corruption at all, but being honest, corruption is way better than racism, being honest.
Of course, of
Yeah,
course.
crazy to see how we've been having, children who are at the age of 6, at the age of 13, including even women, young girls being accused of things they didn't do and being electrocuted. Until to date, literally no justice families. So it is just so crazy. But along that, we're gonna start with what Keith was talking about during the weekend, and I think also this is a conversation. Of course, he started talking about on Friday. He did a show on that, and that is the segregation. So I've watched a bit of the show. Seeing where you've shared the video of Martin Luther King, who was actually one of the people who pushed for this. I didn't know that part of the history as well. So I want to start with that particular video as we get started immediately with today's conversation. So karibuni sana to everyone who's just tuning in and welcome to the Africa Today show.
September 15th, 1963, a bomb exploded before Sunday morning services at the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama. Four black girls were killed and many others were injured. The outrage following the incident and the clash between protesters and police helped draw attention to the civil rights struggle. And if you like stories like this, you can find more stories like this at whatmikehistory.com. Also, you like to support the channel, you can do some on Buy Me Coffee on the Patreon page in the description below. Give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and support the 1873. The 16th Street Baptist Church quickly evolved into a place of worship and a significant hub for African American social and cultural activities. During this climax of the civil rights movement during the 60s, this church often served as a space for leaders like Martin Luther King, Ralph Abernathy, and Fred Shuttlesworth, and a meeting place for rallies. However, during the 60s, Birmingham was known as Bombingham, and it was a stronghold for the Ku Klux Klan, bearing some gruesome history of racially motivated bombings and violence. The city was a perfect representation of the era's cultural racism and segregation, with Jim Crow laws ensuring the disparity and discrimination of African Americans. These injustices found its way to every corner of daily life, from housing to transportation to education and employment. African Americans in the community were not only systematically marginalized, but often the subject of violent bigotry. The local law enforcement often ignored these racial injustices or even participated in this cycle of violence. 1963, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and the Congress for Racial Equality began a campaign to desegregate the city. It was known as Project C for Confrontation. It would later be known as the Birmingham Campaign. This included a series of protests and boycotts, with the 16th Street Baptist Church serving as a meeting place for civil rights leaders. On May 2nd, 1963, over 1,000 students marched on downtown Birmingham to discuss racial segregation with the mayor. As a result of the demonstrations, the mayor agreed to integrate public facilities, including schools, within 90 days. This agreement was met with fierce resistance from Birmingham's white residents. In the days after the September 4th integration, 3 bombs were set off in the city, and additionally, other violent acts were reported. The Ku Klux Klan were
Hey, white people, but did the Jays do this, or did you do it? Because you don't run around talking about the Jays. The Jays. Did the Jays do this, or did you do this? Okay? Who ran the Ku Klux Klan? The Jays or you? Oh, you did. So don't try to act like you had nothing to do with none of this. Go ahead, Joe.
Lack of action taken to block school integration, because the 16th Street Baptist Church had long been a religious center for Montgomery's African American population and a meeting place for civil rights organizers. It was seen as a symbol of the civil rights movement, making it an obvious target. Before the bombing, the Ku Klux Klan had routinely made bomb threats to disrupt civil rights gatherings.
Pause it, Joe. Remember, the Ku Klux Klan, Joe, were the ones that said, I can't see out this thing. Let's not all get upset. We got to go over the hill and kill us that black guy. That's them, Joby. That's them.
I remember
Okay.
the KK.
Yeah. All right.
The Ku Klux Klan. I remember you teaching me this, yeah.
So, September 15th, 1963, at least 15 sticks of dynamite with a time delay were planted near the 16th Street Baptist Church.
The marks, the people were there. That was a funny movie. It was funny. I loved it.
10:22 a.m. and an anonymous caller alerted the church, and less than a minute later, a bomb was exploded. 5 children were in the basement at the time, changing into choir robes. The explosion left a hole 7 feet in diameter in the back wall of the church and a crater 5 feet wide and 2 feet deep in the basement. Windows up to 2 blocks away were damaged, and all of the stained glass in the church destroyed. When news of the bombing spread, hundreds of people gathered around the church to search for survivors. 4 black girls, Addie Mae Collins, Carol Denise McNair, Carol Roseman Robertson, and Cynthia Dion Wesley, were killed in the attack, with Sarah Collins, Annie Mae's sister, being blinded in one eye. Up to 14 to 22 other people were also injured in the attack. The situation in Birmingham quickly became volatile after the bombing, with black and white youth clashing against each other, throwing objects, shouting insults. And local police and the governor of Alabama, George Wallace, responded by sending extra forces to help with the unrest. The Birmingham City Council, worried about the safety of the city, met to come up with a solution, but it declined to put in place a curfew. Within 24 hours of the bombing, at least 5 businesses and numerous cars were firebombed, with many cars being pelted with rocks from rioters. 2 African-American teens, Johnny Robinson and Virgil Ware, were killed within 7 hours of the 16th Street Church bombing. Robinson, who was 16 years old, was shot in the back by running away from a police officer.
It's crazy just to pause on this, because throughout those, those few years I've been doing the show, the Africa Today show, and looking at the reports of the injustice when it comes to black people. There's nowhere where I've done research and seen where there's a black person who has ever attacked a white teenager.
You won't see it.
It's crazy, man.
Because of our humanity. We have a thing for humanity. Yeah, you'll never see it. You'll never see black people standing around hanging white people, smiling, eating lunch. You'll never see it, Joe. It doesn't exist.
crazy. If you try do it, actually, even with just the false accusation, we see how they go crazy. You know, just a false accusation. So what if you really did it? You know, this is just crazy.
Who had allegedly giving him the order to stop. It was believed that the police were responding to reports of African-American youths throwing rocks at cars driven by white people, where a 13-year-old was shot in the chest and cheek with a revolver in a suburban neighborhood 15 miles away from the city. The 16-year-old white teenager by the name of Larry Sims fired the gun given to him by another youth, Michael Farley. Farley and Sims had been returning from a rally against integration and had denounced the church bombing. Sims fired 2 shots at Ware and his brother, who was sitting on the handlebars of a bicycle. Farley and Sims will later be convicted of second-degree manslaughter, but the judge suspended their sentence and gave them 2 years of probation.
2 years probation for killing. But see that? Pause it. 2 years probation for murdering people because they're white. That means they didn't go to no jail time at all for murdering innocent people. That was 50 miles. They weren't even in Birmingham. They were 50 miles away. But they were black, and and so they wanted to show. That's how unjust in them white people. You know, these morons. I hope we're on BitChute. Did the Jays make them do that? Shoot these innocent kids? And you talk about and of course you're white. You got the complexion for the protection. None of you go to jail. None of you go to jail for crimes you commit over and over and over again. This is the norm. Because this is a white supremacist country. Morons. Now you try to throw the Jays in there as if the Jays made you do all this wicked shit. You're wicked because you're wicked. Go ahead, Joe.
City blamed the tragic church bombing on the inflammatory rhetoric of Governor George Wallace, who just 1 week prior, Wallace was quoted in an interview with the New York Times as claiming that Alabama needed some first-class funerals to prevent racial integration. In response to the tragedy, the city of Birmingham offered a $52,000.
So was the Jays? This is the governor. The governor said we need some first-class funerals. So we need some killing of black people. So make sure we'll stop this integration. We need some first-class killing to scare these black people into understanding their role to be on the bottom. This is the governor. Did the Jays make him do that, white people? Say we need some first-class funerals. He's telling me we need to kill some N-words around here to get them back in line. This is the governor of Alabama, the #1 executive of the state, saying that. Not the Jays. Go ahead, Joe.
With Wallace pledging $5,000 on behalf of the state. Martin Luther King will rebuke Wallace in a telegram accusing him of creating a climate of violence that led up to the death. Attorney General Robert Kennedy organized a comprehensive investigation, dispatching 25 federal agents, including a bombs expert, to the city. September 17, 1963, Carol Rosamond Robertson.
Now the Jays did kill him. The Jays did kill his ass and killed his brother, who's the president. Brother was the president then, and that's time he was the attorney general. So they did both get, you know what, I'll admit that. The Jays killed his ass and his brother. Go ahead, John.
Family funeral. Alpha, Carol's mother, had asked that her daughter be buried separately from the other victims due to comments made by Martin Luther King Jr., who said that the mindset that had enabled the murder of the 4 girls was caused by apathy and complacency of the black people in Alabama. The funeral was held at St. John's African Methodist Episcopal Church with 1,600 people in attendance. Reverend C.E. Thomas asked the congregation to honor Carol by being calm, kind, and innocent. The following day, the funerals of the 4 other victims was held at 6th Avenue Baptist Church. 800 clergymen of all races were in attendance, including Martin Luther King Jr. King addressed the estimated 3,300 mourners with a speech stating that, in spite of the darkness of this hour, we must not become bitter. We must not lose our faith in our white brothers. Life is hard, and at times hard as crucible steel. But today,
that's what. That's your damn agent right there. We must not lose faith in our white brothers. You out of your rat. That's why. My people in the West, I wasn't in the South then, or the North, we didn't want to hear shit Dr. King had to say. They never teach that. It just, most of black people were against that. Way you had the Black Panthers were created while he was still alive. We didn't agree with none of that shit. California, we didn't agree with none of that shit he's talking. Our white brothers. We didn't see no brothers from these people. Understand, us in the West, we didn't agree with none of this shit. He was meant hostile to blacks in the West coast of the country. He told, hey, you keep that Southern shit down in the South. Here, we're not saying our white brothers. We're getting weapons. You know, we're doing like Jeremy showed on the Black Panther movie. What you're doing, boys, with that weapon? You take my weapon, shoot your ass. That's what we were doing. And it's the same time period. We wasn't doing the shit talk. We must not lose faith in our white brothers. What? Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead. Sound crazy.
He asked for solemn and forbade singing, shouting, or demonstrations. At the outset of the investigation, investigators hypothesized that the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing was caused by a bomb from a moving car. However, on September 20th, the FBI were able to confirm that the blast was caused by a disposal device that was intentionally planted near the church's women's lounge. Physical evidence such as sections of wire and remnants of red plastic, which could have been part of a timing device, were discovered at the site. The FBI struggled with their initial inquiry, but investigators were able to focus their attentions on a KKK splinter group known as the Kabaha Boys. The group had fewer than 30 active members. Local investigators.
FBI was a racist, still a racist organization. And the FBI at that time was a mixed black guy called J. Edgar Hoover, who was passing as a white person. So he was from the South. J. Edgar Hoover was from Mississippi, the next state over to Alabama. And he was a passing white man, which is the worst. He was a mulatto, pretending to be white. So he's more vicious to black people. And anybody would tell anything to his family because they would end up dead down in Mississippi. So don't think the FBI, which is also known as a race organization, was there to do anything. They were just there as window dressing. We're pretending to investigate these races while we ourselves are racist. Remember, all government institutions in America are racist, especially back then. All. Go ahead, Joe.
Investigators identified 4 members of the group as perpetrators of the bombing: Thomas Blanton Jr., Herman Frank Cash, Tommy Frank Cherry, and Robert Chambliss, with Chambliss being seen as a leader. Witnesses reported to have seen a group of white men in a turquoise 1957 Chevrolet near the church in the early morning of September 15th. Some descriptions of the white men who exited the car and headed to the steps of the church fit the body type of either Bobby Cherry or Robert Chambliss, but it was difficult to get a witness to cooperate, and there was not enough physical evidence. On September 26th, Chambliss was interviewed by the FBI. He later was indicted on charges of illegally purchasing and transporting dynamite, and he would later be convicted with 2 of his acquaintances on October 8th of illegal possession and the transportation of dynamite, with each receiving a $100 fine and a 180-day suspended sentence in jail. All of this information was given to Hoover.
Didn't go to jail. Didn't go. The black man passed to be white. This dude's history here, this wicked, self-hating, fake white man here, passing to be a white man. And you can tell he passed. He don't look white in the damn picture. Looks like a mulatto. That's what he was. So they didn't go to jail. They got suspended sentence again. No one goes to prison. White people kill all these children, blow up bombs, blew people's eyes out, and of course, nothing happens. No justice. Everybody, these are the same people you're going to find in South Africa, same white people that were in Kenya. They're the same wherever they go. The same shit wherever they go. Because they're the same people. But, so he had to be extra brutal on black people because he was passing. This dude was passing as a white man. So he was to prove that he was white, he would be extra brutal on black people. This head of the FBI, this J. Edgar Hoover, this mulatto right here, who pretended to be a white man, and it also was a rabid homosexual. He's a homosexual mulatto. Yeah, ain't that funny? But they can never fire his ass because the FBI has so much power The FBI had tapes on everybody, had information on everybody. Because JFK wanted to fire him. And you can't fire him. You can't fire Hoover. He's got evidence on everybody. He'll bring everybody down. That's why he can never be fired. Remember, he was on removed, and of course they changed FBI directors all the time. But he's the only FBI director they could never get rid of. He had to die in office in 1973 or whatever. Remember this bastard died? You know, there's no good bastard here died. Put us up, Joe. Keep that open. Go to another tab and say J. Edgar Hoover. Say J. Edgar, EDGEAR, Edgar or ER, Hoover, HOOVER, was really a mulatto. He was passing. We all know what they do, that he was passing as a white man, pretending.
Just a minute. I think I've seen a video of him somewhere, but I won't pull that right now. Just a minute. Let me pull the article.
That's why these mulattoes are dangerous.
I found this one, not really an article, but a quote from someone says, I've often had celebrities like J. Edgar Hoover and Babe Ruth, who are mulattoes, passing for white.
Yep.
That their identity, and these are not confirmed. However, are there any infamous figures who are actually mixed race and hid their identity to pass for white?
Of course, all the time. Of course, a bunch of them. And it's not a damn conspiracy. This is fact. So Google's trying to hide it. This is well known. They were exposed this like 20 years ago after he died. This is known. He is a mulatto. This is a known fact. It's not like no conspiracy theory no more. This is known. He was passed. What they would do, Joby, a lot of mulattoes, since they didn't want to have the hard, so since they were really white, like Joby, they could pass, so they would pass as white people. Mm-hmm. They would cut up everybody black, so they wouldn't have to deal with the black struggle, right? They didn't want to have racism, so they would pretend to be white and cut up their whole family, so no one would know their history, and so they could pass in the white world. So it's called passing. It's the whole thing, Joe. That's what you have to do. So just like that movie, right? But that movie that Big Cheese showed. Remember, it's called The Jazz Man. The girl was, remember the girl and the mama was passing as white. Remember she's gonna wear a white man, but they were really black. And then the black guy said, "Don't you say nothing. Don't you say a damn thing. You'll ruin our whole lives. I'm too old to start from nothing." That when that pass is white, Joe. And if they ever found out, they would usually get killed. Because you pretend to be white, and white people tell you all the secrets and everything they want to do against black people, to murder us, to kill us, and now you listening to it, they would go crazy. They would kill you if they found out you was it's called passing. It's a whole thing called passing. Now, do this for me real quick, Joe. Google say, what does the term passing, P-A-S-S-I-N-G, mean in American society? What does the term passing?
Okay, they're saying in American society, passing refers to an individual being perceived or regarded as a member of social group other than the one they actually belong to.
Exactly.
Wow.
Tend to be white instead of you being black. Exactly.
Yeah, often for the purpose of gaining social or economic advantages or avoiding discrimination.
Exactly.
It's great.
Exactly. You don't want to be called a filthy, dirty nigga, as Jim Muscu said. Well, we gotta be filthy, so you get to pass, Joby. I'm passing as a white person. Yeah, so you cut all ties out with your family, your mama. We're gonna look at that movie. To imitate. Oh, do this for me real quick, Joby. I want you do this for me. Say, go to YouTube real quick. Open up the thing. Say the video. Say the scene from the Imitation of Life. It's going to say the scene from the Imitation of Life where Sarah Jean tells her black mother, "Don't come see me no more." This is her daughter was passing as white. "Mama, why you come here? Don't come here no more, Mama." Because she's disowning her mother. There's a scene in the movie Imitation of Life where Sarah Jean tells her mother, "Don't come see her no more." You see what I'm talking about? Mama's trying to love her. "I just want to know you okay, baby. I just want to love you." "Mama, go away. Why you keep trying to find me? Leave me alone. People gonna find out I'm black and they'll start fucking me up again. Mama, go away."
Crazy.
It's real.
Mosquito, karibu sana. Share my screen.
I don't have any.
Minutes. I put the copyright disclaimer.
Yeah. Put disclaimer up.
Is it? Okay, there we go.
I just want to know you're okay, baby.
Alright.
Little colored girl in my class. But they said 3B. This is 3B, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, there's Sarah Jane.
Like,
There's my
what,
baby.
what you doing?
You mean
That's
Sarah
your
Jane
baby?
Johnson?
That's
Yes,
your
ma'am.
child?
I'm Mrs. Johnson.
No, not that part. See that she's white. Your mama's a nigga.
Sarah Jane, baby, I brought you here. Sarah Jane, we didn't know. Sarah Jane, wait. Sarah Jane, baby, wait.
I forgot about that part. I was talking the part where she was grown. I was telling Joe to go to the part where she was grown and Mama came and said, "Mama, why you keep coming? I'm trying to get away from you, Mama." And then I think that's when the boyfriend finds out. "You a nigga! You lied to me! You a nigga!" Smack her in the head. "You a nigga! I'm not a nigga, I'm white! You a nigga! Lied to me!" That's it right here. Go here you go, Joby. That's it. Yeah. When she grown.
I'll be ready in a minute.
Mom, she found her.
Now, don't be mad, honey. Nobody saw me.
What's up?
Was you?
Nobody saw me.
She passed it, Joe.
Tonight? Why can't you leave me alone? I tried, Sarah Jane. You'll never know how hard I tried. Well, might as well pack.
See, Joe, but she didn't. They didn't have to skip. The ones passing, they didn't have to use skin bleaching cream, so they're good.
I suppose you've been to the boss.
Yeah.
Lost me
Oh yeah, now it makes sense. Is okay, I get it now. Yeah,
my job, my friends. I've been no place. I didn't come to bother you. Well, you won't. Not ever again. Spoil things for me here, and I'll just go somewhere else, and I'll keep on going until you're so tired. Baby, I am tired. I'm as tired as I ever want to be. You mind if I sit down? Yes, I do. Somebody's coming. That's why the door was unlocked. I'll only stay a minute. I just want to look at you. That's why I came. Are you happy here, honey? Are you finding what you really want? I'm somebody else. I'm white.
Remember, Mama was dying.
White. White! Does that answer you? I guess so. Then please, Mama, will you go? And never do this again. And if by accident we should ever pass on the street, please don't recognize me. I won't, Sarah Jane. I promise. I settle all that in my mind. There's just one thing I wish for.
Pause that, Joby. Pause that, Joby. And if you don't understand white supremacy, Joby, everything will confuse you. Why she's getting rid of her mama? Because of white supremacy? Go ahead.
If you're ever in trouble, if you ever need anything at all, if you ever want to come home and you shouldn't be able to get in touch with me, will you let Miss Laura know?
Yes. Yes, anything. Now, will you go?
That wasn't all I wanted, honey.
Even though I raised you, let me hold you. Just go, you nigga mama.
I'd like
I
to
wanna
hold you in my
baby.
arms once more, like you were still my baby.
All right, Mama. All right.
Sarah Jane. Oh, my baby. My beautiful, beautiful.
Remember, she didn't know her mother was dying. Remember, her mother was dying. She was trying to find her because she was dying.
Nothing you ever do can stop that.
Oh, Mama. Oh, Mama. Mama.
Oh, my baby.
Come on, Linda, they're waiting. Say, listen, if you're the new maid, I want to report that my shower's full of ants.
Oh, I'm sorry, miss. That must be very uncomfortable. But I just happened to be in town and I dropped in to see Miss Linda. I used to take care of her. Well, I guess I'll be running along. My plane's leaving in a little while, Miss Linda. Goodbye, honey. You take good care of yourself. Goodbye.
Well, get you. So, honey child, you had a mammy.
Yes. All my life.
Damn, that's sad. It's kind of sad. Dude, that's crazy. That's so crazy. Damn, I can't imagine, just dumping my mom because I need some passing. This is crazy. But yeah, the African passing is the bleaching. Makes a whole lot of sense right now. It's crazy, man. Shout out to Sister Michelle. Karibu sana. Hope you're doing amazing. Jiba Jaba, Jason. Karibuni. As we go back to this video here, which is making us understand the term passing and what really happened with this guy here on the screen.
But federal charges were never filed against Chambliss or any of his co-conspirators in relation to the bombing. There had been a long-standing tension between local and federal prosecutors, subsequently, Hoover vetoed any federal prosecution of the suspects, and he didn't share any evidence that the FBI had obtained with state and federal prosecutors. In 1968, the FBI closed the investigation and the files were sealed by order of J. Edgar Hoover. The 16th Street Church bombing will remain unsolved until William Baxley became Attorney General of Alabama in January of 1971. Baxley, a student at the University of Alabama at the time of the bombing, was determined to take action. In the weeks after his election, he went over the Birmingham police files on the bombing and discovered that the evidence that they had obtained was mostly worthless. Baxley then reopened the case and was able to get witnesses to trust him, some of whom had been reluctant to testify previously. This enabled him to assemble evidence on Robert Chambliss that he had bought dynamite from the store on Highway 101 2 weeks prior to the bombing. Additionally, Baxley requested FBI files on the case and realized that evidence collected between 1963 and 1965 had not been shared with local prosecutors in Birmingham, and eventually he was granted access to evidence and used that to build a case against Chambliss. November 14th, 1977, Robert Chambliss, who was then 73, stood trial in Birmingham's Jefferson County Courthouse for his involvement in the 1963 bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church. Initially, Chambliss was indicted on 4 charges of murder. However, following a pretrial hearing presided on by Judge Wallace Gibson, ruled that the prosecution could not move forward with more than 1 count of murder. Despite the weight of the charges, Chambliss insisted on a not guilty plea, asserting that he had simply passed the dynamite that he had purchased to an individual by the name of Gary Thomas Rowe Jr., who had been linked to Klan activities and was reportedly acted as an informant for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Over the course of the trial, prosecutors aimed to expose inconsistencies in Chambliss, calling forth 2 high-ranking law enforcement officials, as well as witnesses' accounts to the bombing itself. Testimony from a retired Birmingham police officer named Tom Cook, alongside a police sergeant by the name of Ernie Cantwell, affirmed that Chambliss had not only confessed to owning dynamite at the time of the 1963 arrest, but also boasted that he had intimate knowledge of assembling a bomb. Similarly, Chambliss's niece, Reverend Elizabeth Cobbs, stated under oath that her uncle frequently boasted about his solo crusade against Black individuals dating back to the 1940s, and revealed to her the day prior to the bombing that he was in the possession of enough dynamite to level a significant portion of Birmingham. Furthermore, another witness, William Jackson, also testified that Chambliss had expressed frustration with the Klan's dragging its feet on the issue of racial integration. In the closing arguments, prosecutors acknowledged that Chambliss was not the only person involved in the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church, yet asked the jury to find him guilty. The defense argued that the prosecution's evidence was circumstantial and that Chambliss had not been charged in the 1963 church bombing. Following 6 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a guilty verdict, thus convicting Chambliss of the murder of Carol Denise McNair. Consequently, he was sentenced to life imprisonment. Chambliss appealed his conviction, but was ultimately rejected and died in 1985. Two of the four suspects, Thomas Blanton and Bobby Cherry, were still alive and were arrested and charged with 8 counts each of first-degree murder and universal malice. Cherry and Blanton were eventually brought to trial. Blanton was convicted in 2001 and sentenced to life in prison, where he died of unspecified causes in June 26,
2001. 2001. This happened in 1960. So you're talking about almost, what was that, 50 years? 50 years. They've been who did it. But it took them 50 years to finally bring charges against these racist bastards. So go ahead, Joe.
Also sentenced to life in prison, where he died of cancer in 2004. While Blanton and Cherry denied any involvement in the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church, Robert Chambliss maintained till his death that Gary Roe Thomas Jr. was responsible. Roe was encouraged to join the Ku Klux Klan in 1960 and was paid as an FBI informant from 1961 to 1965. During this period, he took part in multiple violent acts against both African Americans and
Look at the hood. Look at the hood, Joe. At least they got the eyes are right on that one. I can't see nothing out this thing. His eyes are right.
Later admitting to shooting and killing an unidentified Black man and being an accessory to another murder. A closer look into the investigator's file revealed that Roe was unsuccessful in passing 2 polygraph tests regarding his role in the bombing. This led to some FBI agents presuming his guilt. Prosecutors initially planned to bring him as a witness in the Chambliss trial, but the district attorney decided not to after uncovering the outcome of the polygraph test. While Roe was never officially implicated by the FBI in the conspiracy, the deceptive polygraph test stirred the possibility that Chambliss's allegations did hold some truth. Nonetheless, a 1979 investigation cleared Roe of any involvement in the 16th Street church bombing. In the aftermath, the lasting impact of the 16th Street church bombing was far-reaching and profound, notably affecting the trajectory of the civil rights movement. In the immediate aftermath of the tragedy, the nation watched the stark reality of racial hatred laid bare for everybody to see. The explosion conducted by members of an offshoot of the Ku Klux Klan was a brazen act of domestic terrorism that was designed to instill fear, but instead it sparked an outrage and galvanized support for civil rights legislation. Prior to the bombing, many white Americans were unconvinced about the severity of racial violence in the South. However, graphic images of the church's destructive aftermath and the innocent lives of
I hate this is milk toast nonsense. This guy's talking. Everybody knew the violence. Everybody knew the violence of white people against Black people. But these guys do it because they want YouTube dollars. You know, white people were confused. They didn't know the violence. It was more violent up north than it was in the South. They'll openly call you a nigga screaming and hollering. I'm gonna have Joby go show when Martin Luther King moved to Chicago. He told, do this for me, Joby. Go to YouTube, say Martin Luther King talks about the racism in Chicago. And it's gonna defy what he just said. And Martin Luther King said the racism up north is even worse than the South. Yeah. He talking about the people up north didn't know. You crazy. Everybody in the country know the country is based on anti-Black racism. We think slavery was. He's talking about the people in the north didn't know. They didn't for sure how Black people got treated in the South. You got treated worse, and you got treated bad in the North too, in the West too. You weren't treated no better nowhere. He needs to get his YouTube dollars.
Okay. Roll 20, sound 36. Sandy.
Dr. King, this church is as good a place as any to go back over your commitment to the civil rights movement. When you went out from here into university.
I don't know if I got the right one. Is it this one, kid?
Now, that's what I use. I don't know. It doesn't say. I said you might be talking about that now. Just say. Dr. King talks about the racism in Chicago.
Oh, in Chicago, we're in the South there.
Yeah, not in the South. No, in Chicago. Dr. King talks about the racism in Chicago. CHICHO, Chicago.
So this one.
Trying to contradict what that last guy said that the
Race
people
in Chicago series. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is perhaps best remembered for his work in the South. But did you know the civil rights leader actually lived here in Chicago for a brief time?
In fact, it was on this day in 1966 that Dr. King moved into a North Lawndale apartment. He wanted to shine the spotlight on racial segregation and the push for better housing for African Americans. Leanne Trotter has this story.
55 years ago on this very spot, 1550 North Hamlin, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. moved his family into the building that once stood here. They lived there for several months.
Dr. King came to Chicago in 1966 to basically protest slum housing.
To make this beautiful city that sits on the banks of Lake Michigan, the beautiful city of brotherhood that it is called to be.
For many months, Dr. King had been working with local civil rights leaders to help promote the Chicago Freedom Movement. They invited Dr. King and his family to move into that rundown apartment building to help raise awareness about African Americans' deplorable living conditions.
Chicago exemplified all the problems that we're facing urban areas across the North in terms of racism and segregation. Chicago was arguably the most segregated city in the country at that time.
Professor James Ralph is
This is the North, not the South. That dude said the people in the North didn't know. You're a goddamn lie. So I wanted to prove this, that the people in the North didn't know. So Dr. King went to the North in Chicago. There was racist segregation and the same shit you had in the South. So don't tell me they didn't know. They did know. You just not saying the truth because you want your YouTube dollars and they'll demonetize your video. Go ahead, Joe.
Of the Chicago Freedom Movement, Martin Luther King Jr., and civil rights activism in the North. The book explains how Dr. King's visit was unwelcomed by some Black political and church leaders working on behalf of Mayor Richard Daley's political machine. Professor Ralph says the mayor's tight rein led some to call Dr. King's 1966 Chicago visit unsuccessful. But Professor Ralph says King's visit actually helped nationalize the conversation about civil rights.
Chicago Freedom Movement helped dramatize through marches in the summer of 1966 the real segregation, the dual housing market, the fact that there were barriers to it.
And that's a nice version. Then I show you the videos. Nigga, go home. You dirty nigga. Go back to the South, nigga. Get out of our city, nigga. Go back home, nigga. Get out of Chicago, nigga. They don't show you that part. It's making it all nice and neat here. White people, go home, you dirty nigga. You get your ass back to the South. With your nigga ass. Get back to Alabama and Georgia. Get your nigga ass out of here. People forget about that.
African American access to housing across the metropolitan region.
In July 1966,
we were living in slums.
Packed Soldier Field to hear Dr. King speak, and later at City Hall. A month later, August 5th, Dr. King was marching through Marquette Park when white protesters started hitting the marchers with bottles and rocks. U.S. Ambassador and former U.S. Senator Harold Moseley Braun, who was a teenager at the time.
They showed the whole thing. Exactly. The white people went crazy. They went crazy over there. They don't want to show you that part. I don't know. White people, you get out of here, you nigga. Get back to the South, you dirty nigga. Get out of the North. Get your nigga ass out of Chicago. You get back to the South. We don't want you up here in the North. You get your ass back to the South. Throwing bottles, overturning cars. So they did know the violence in the North. Hell you talking about? Go ahead.
Distinctly remembers the moment Dr. King was hit by a rock as she was standing very close to him.
When it happened, I remember my first reaction was to get mad. I wanted to pick up a rock and throw it back. But he didn't. He had this beatific look on his face. He just let it go, just wash over him.
Moseley Braun says at that moment, she understood the power of nonviolence.
And took out his handkerchief and held it to his head and just continued with the march.
The building where Dr. King lived on Hamlin was damaged during rioting following his death. It was later torn down, and the historic lot remained empty for many years until the Lawndale Christian Development Corporation stepped in.
We had a vision.
And that's how the MLK Memorial District in North Lawndale came about. It's affordable apartments and an event space for community residents to enjoy.
We said we want to build a building that Dr. King would have been honored to live in North Lawndale, and that's exactly what we did.
The Lawndale Christian Development Corporation has spent more than $100 million developing real estate in North Lawndale. This year, they plan to build affordable single-family homes there.
For us, it's about equity, and it's about the racial wealth gap. And so how do, Black and brown folks have an opportunity to gain equity and build wealth? And one key way to do that is home ownership.
Leanne Trotter, NBC5 News.
Such an important...
Yep, so that's the video over there. We've lost Keith, but he's going to be coming back. Shout out to everyone with us on the chat. As we wait for him, I'll be going through the comments later. Shout out to everyone with us on BitChute. The racist comments, I see y'all, like, it's crazy. It is so crazy. But as we continue still talking about injustice, the next video I was going to share is about the untold Black masquerade that took place in 1919. It's called, or rather I've seen, it's been labeled the Red Summer. And I just want to share this as we get to continue, as we literally wait for Mr. Blackwoodfire to get back right here.
The Red Summer, race riots in dozens of American cities in 1919, including Chicago.
Basically, I'd say it's connected to just what I'm just from sharing that video.
During the summer of 1919, there was a gross level of blood flowing through the streets of over 36 cities in America. Despite how intense this tragic moment of U.S. history was, this memory has been swept under the carpet. In those moments, the rate of unresolved racial discrimination was on the high side. It was a dark moment that wiped away the lives of hundreds of Blacks, vandalized the neighborhoods, and left a scar that has been forgotten in the American community. This painful event is now known as the Red Summer of 1919. But why isn't this story being talked about by the American press and historians? The summer of 1919 was not just an incident of racial turbulence, but a day of judgment that exposed America's racial system. It was a terrifying moment that African Americans all over the North to the South were under siege by white mobs, police forces, and even the federal government that intentionally kept mute on the violent situation. In those times, the promise of freedom for the Black Americans was facing intense opposition, fear, resistance, and hatred by the white community. The Red Summer was one of the darkest moments of racial violence and oppression in the history of the United States. This event was a clear, vicious attack against the African Americans that was started as a result of racial tension that has remained unchecked for decades. Although there were some key issues that started the issues that aggravated the situation, like the African American soldiers who returned home from World War I and were denied the rights and respect they had fought for overseas, the Great Migration that saw millions of Black Americans journey north in a search for better opportunities, and the economic competition that instigated fear and opposition between the white citizens and the Black communities. One important point that is worthy of note is that the chaotic attack wasn't just a mistake or a sudden incident, but an organized and coordinated event, just to preserve the reputation of the white government. The violence on the Black community wasn't a result of individual differences, but a systemic propaganda to maintain their racial propaganda. Stick around while we uncover the untold truth behind the Red Summer of 1919, how this attack wasn't a coincidence, but one of their long agenda waiting to cause the attack, what went on during the incident, and the effect of this sad tale in America today. Let's begin. The Red Summer of 1919 did not just happen out of the blue. To have a good grasp of what led to the violent incident, we will have to take a quick glance at the post-World War I era. African American soldiers had fought valiantly in the war, thinking that their sacrifice and patriotism would give them respect and a good standing in the society. Many even thought that their selfless service to their country would make America repent from its racial injustice. Many even thought that their selfless service to their country would make America repent from its racial injustice. But unfortunately, when these soldiers returned home, they met the same oppressive system they left behind, probably worse. Instead of being welcomed with loads of accolades and praises, they were welcomed in a hostile manner. White Americans became a major threat to the Blacks. The war has brought about economic instability, and post-war inflation aggravated competition for jobs. It gave white veterans who returned from the war feel entitled to job opportunities and positions being occupied by Black individuals.
I'm glad you showed it. So, Joby. So this is really a continuation. I'm in a bad area, guys. Hopefully you guys can hear me. This is a continuation what Joby was talking about this morning. So these are the same people, ancestors, and now had chains on their legs, got on a boat. They're not Black Americans yet, Joe. They're still Africans, been put in chains and being beaten, put on a boat, and this is what they get when they get over here. They build, so they enslave, so they build a country, and after they build the country and supposedly that slavery is over, this is the same shit they're going through.
The act gave rise to the racial and economic instability. One major factor that fostered the Red Summer was the mass migration, where a large demographic relocation happened between 1916 and 1919. And moved
so blacks were leaving the South, of course, and going to the North. We just showed you. We were leaving the South because it was still racist as hell, and all America is racist, but the South was a special kind of racism. But they like to bring the J's, they tell you. All right. But anyway, the South was a special kind of freaking racism. So you had the Great Migration. Our family went west, of course. They went out to California. A lot of families left the South and went north. They went up to New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, D.C., Pittsburgh, Detroit, Indianapolis, all cities up north. Go ahead, Joe.
In this period, a humongous number of African Americans left the rural South looking for better jobs and life in the industrial North. Some cities like Chicago, Detroit, St. Louis, and New York significantly experienced Black populations.
Exactly.
The migration caused a serious racial tension. Many whites in the North were not comfortable with the Blacks coming into their labor landscape, perceiving them as a threat to their economic security. African Americans, who were often given the most inconvenient jobs, lowest wages, and most segregated housing, eventually felt the impact.
Those are called black jobs, Joby. Those are black jobs.
Drum, no good ass.
Exactly. Those are black jobs, Joby.
At the forefront of the racial inequality. The competition for jobs and economic labor did not affect the factory workers alone. Black Americans were also occupying offices once occupied by white workers before the war, especially in the service industry. This made the whites the further furious, as they were afraid those they belittled would likely take their job. The racial oppression by this demographic shift was aggravated due to white employers who used black workers as strike breakers during labor strikes, inflaming white workers who saw black labor as a threat to union solidarity. Beyond this economic turbulence was an even more treacherous force, the white supremacy. The racial conflict of the Red Summer was caused by a deep-rooted belief in the need to preserve white dominance in every aspect of American life. After the Civil War,
just like Joby said, white dominance, but them is all about dominance out there. Everywhere they go, they must dominate, control, so they can steal everything. It's all about never about any kind of egalitarian humanity. They don't believe in none of that shit. It's all lies. They've never believed in any kind of humanity or any kind of egalitarian. You know, go ahead, Joe.
Significant progress in education, politics, and economic development, but each of these progresses was faced with severe resistance. The racist propaganda that saturated American media at the time wasn't helping the matter, but worsening it. It was like adding fuel to the fire. Now
pause it. Now we do. Now this is where the Jays come, because the Jays owned all the media like they do today. All of it. They've always owned all of it. So the propaganda put the scary black people in the hands of white people, caused a lot of rape, pillage, and murder, because the propaganda of destroying our image is what's fueled this country. That's why you got the fake rap, and our women are naked, talking crazy. You got your fake Nicki Minaj's talking stupid shit, and Cardi B's and all that. It's to always destroy your image and dehumanize you. So the media's always been in the process of always dehumanizing black people. Always. From its inception. Like he's talking about the first movie, Birth of a Nation right here. That shit, you seen that wicked shit. It was completely dehumanizing. Completely dehumanizing. And you had the president back then, Woodrow Wilson, no good ass, who signed that Federal Reserve banking law back then. Said, oh, this thing is so true. This movie is so true. His racist ass. Talking about this wicked ass propaganda, this movie was true. Go ahead, Joby.
Praised the Ku Klux Klan and portrayed black men as dangerous threats to white women. Newspapers frequently uploaded content that depicted black men as criminals preying on white society. These depictions didn't just come out of the blue. They were carefully scripted narratives that stoked white fears of black empowerment and justified violent oppression of African Americans.
So white people invent you. You didn't know, right? You weren't the tool of the Jays. You know they owned all the media back then. So them lying to you didn't make you do these things. Who's the tool, us or you? You started killing them rampage. They just played off of it. So they know you're violent and psychopathic. They just played off of it. That's all. To benefit themselves, so you stay away from their wickedness. But yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
I can't wait to read the comments here. Today, the viewers are very active, very active on BitChute.
Well, self-defense was perceived as an offense to the white authority. African Americans who stood their ground and fought back against racist violence were often labeled as troublemakers, while white mobs were seen as protecting their communities. This deeply engraved belief system made it nearly impossible for African Americans to find justice, as law enforcement and even local governments were involved in the violence. The Red Summer of 1919 was a massive, treacherous conflict that affected the entire nation. It was a racial turbulence that was characterized by bloodshed and conflict over 36 cities in the United States. However, there are three major incidents that occurred due to their scale, brutality, and long-term significance. These are the Chicago Race Riot,
Chicago, Atlanta,
riot, and the Elaine Massacre. These incidents were a reaction to the deeply rooted racial hatred that existed at the time, and also the failure of local and federal authorities to protect African American communities. The Chicago Race Riot was one of the brutal and most violent events of the Red Summer. It started on the 27th of July, 1919, on the south side of Chicago, and was intensified by the drowning of Eugene Williams, who was a 17-year-old African American boy. Williams had unintentionally gone into the whites-only section of Lake Michigan while swimming. When the whites who were on the beach observed, they began to throw stones at him. Williams became unconscious and drowned. Instead of the police arresting the whites who did this terrible act, they arrested a black man, which led to a breakout among the African-American community.
Listen to black man.
This incident led to a week of brutal violence and conflict between the black and white residents. Did
the Jays make you do that? Did the Jays make you kill this man for swimming in the beach? See, remember, they done this in South, everywhere they go, it's the same wicked shit. South Africa, they took over the beaches, told black people they couldn't swim in their own beaches. It's the same shit. They're the same fucked up people no matter where they go. It ain't the Jays making you be fucked up. You're fucked up because you're fucked up. Go ahead, you're wicked and you're evil. Go ahead, Joe.
Around the black neighborhoods, setting homes on fire, looting businesses, and physically inflicting pain on anyone they could find. A large number of black Chicagoans were veterans who fought in World War I, fought back furiously, refusing to let their communities be overrun. For days, the streets were painted with chaos, with both groups engaging in violent clashes. The violence wasn't a coincidence. It was fueled by the long-standing racial tensions in Chicago. The violence wasn't a coincidence. It was fueled by the long-standing racial tensions in Chicago. The Great Migration caused the black population of the city to expand, which aggravated the competition for jobs and housing within the city. Segregation in the city was so severe that black residents were often forced to live in overcrowded and dilapidated areas. White Chicagoans, especially those who recently immigrated, perceived the growing black community as a threat to their economic and social status.
Exactly. Now, remember, pause it. Remember, see, he's talking about you white people just got there 2 days ago. The majority of you white people just got here. That's what he's talking about. The Great Migration showed you coming through Ellis Island. This period when your ass just got here. So the idea that you was here at the beginning of the country and you didn't build shit. You was not here to build a goddamn thing. So you were because the country was down wealthy off black people's backs. The majority of white America is not here. The majority of white America just got here when he's talking about during that time period right there called the Great Migration from Europe and your fucked up places in Europe, poor, starving, backward, fucked up. You were coming to America and you were giving free shit because you were white. And they wanted white people here. You need a bigger population. You were giving a bunch of free shit. These are facts. You didn't build no fucking America because you wasn't here. The majority of you bastards were not here. These are facts. Okay? I'm sorry. I believe you were here at the founding. You were great Americans. Motherfucker, you was in Europe shitting in a dirty hole. Poor and fucked up. That's your real history. You weren't here at the beginning of the country. Most white people here today were not here. You got here now. Go ahead, Joby.
Dissolved. 38 people were found dead, 23 black and 15 white, and over 500 individuals were injured. Thousands of black families became homeless as a significant portion of their neighborhoods were burned to the ground, resulting from the chaos. The police response had been very poor and inadequate, with many officers either standing by or actively getting involved in the violence against black residents. The Chicago race riot revealed the deep-rooted racial opposition in the North. African Americans thought they had escaped the worst of Southern racism, unknown to them that they'll face a new kind of racial hostility. The racial violence had also eaten deep into the nation's capital during the Red Summer. In July 1919, Washington, D.C. became another vicious city that was reported in the local media about a series of alleged assaults on white women by black men. White veterans, emboldened by the racist rhetoric circulating in the newspapers, decided to take judgment into their own hands. They formed a cartel and began to roam around the black neighborhoods, seeking revenge for those supposed attacks. These assaults were rarely verified, but the accusations were enough to ignite a firestorm of violence. For several days, a group of whites who were former soldiers caused chaos in the streets of Washington, D.C. They were assaulting any black person they came across. Unlike in other cities, however, African Americans in Washington were better prepared to defend themselves. Several Black veterans who had served in World War I were organized to protect their neighborhoods. They were armed with rifles, and they returned fire to make it known that they would not allow the white mischief to attack them without a fight. This act of self-defense was remarkable, as it showcased the courage and determination of Black Americans who refused to be victims of racial violence. Regardless of this resistance, the violence continued for almost a week. The federal government that was located a few blocks away did little to intervene. The city's law enforcement were overwhelmed by the intensity of the violence. They were partially involved in the conflict, siding with the white hoodlums. This happened until federal troops were finally deployed, and then the violence began to subside. When the war had ended, a total of 15 people were found dead, 10 white and 5 Black, and hundreds were injured. The Washington, D.C. riot was a clear picture that racial violence and inequality wasn't confined to the depth of the South or rural areas, but also could happen in law enforcement attempted to disrupt the meeting. A couple of shots were fired, and in the midst of the chaos, a white man was killed. This created a spark of violent chain reaction. In a few hours, the local law enforcement, a group of white men and federal troops, approached the town with the goal of quelling the supposed uprising of Black farmers. A terrible massacre took place after this scene. White fellas went on a killing mission, hunting down Black men, women, and children across the countryside. Entire families were slaughtered, building structures were burned, and anyone associated with the sharecroppers union became a major target. Official estimates of the death toll were not definite. It is believed that it was between 100 and 200 Black people that were killed, though some reports place the figures even higher. Only 5 white men lost their lives during the massacre, further showcasing how the violence was against one party. During the aftermath, over 60 Black men were arrested and charged with causing violence, despite the fact that they had been the victims of the massacre. 12 of these men were sentenced to death in what was widely known as a sham trial. This lasted until 1923, when the U.S. Supreme Court overturned their convictions in the landmark case Moore versus Dempsey, citing gross violations of due process. The Elaine massacre shows how the white supremacy functioned not just as a perception, but as a system of government. Black laborers who were exploited under the sharecropping system were violently suppressed the moment they tried to exercise their rights. The massacre sent a grievous notification to Black Americans across the South that any attempt to challenge the racial hierarchy will be met with lethal force. The events of the Red Summer did not unfold in the dark. They were witnessed, documented, and in many cases publicized by the media and government institutions. Rather than acting as forces of justice and peace, both the press and the government partially played significant roles in promoting racial violence, spreading misinformation, and maintaining the status quo of white supremacy. The intensity of the violence was a white-dominated press and media personnel that
Did the Jews make you do that? Did the Jews make you do that again? Did the Jews make you do your wicked shit again? Was it the Jews? That fake narrative you're trying to use now? The Jews made you be savage. The Jews made you be savage. Is that the narrative now? It's the Jews made us be savage. The Jews. You're savage because you're savages. The globalists.
with the racial turbulence, promoting hatred through the untrue headlines, racist caricatures, and false reporting. Additionally, positioning blacks as the villains, portraying black
Exactly.
communities
So right there, we know it's the Jays destroying our image, making us the villains. They own the damn fucking media. They owned all those newspapers, you moronic ass white people. They owned the media. So that was them making us back when they were protecting your white ass from being the savages that you are. They said we were the bad people because we just wanted to farm and be left alone. But it's always be rated by you white savages. Better enjoy it. All that shit's coming to an end. Go ahead, Joe.
Mobs and dangerous criminals threatening white order and stability. The widespread compelled many to believe in the stereotype of the violent black man, which had been reinforced by the racist media portrayals in films like The Birth of a Nation, 1915, was echoed in newspapers across the country.
That's the Jays deposit. That's the Jays right there, making a fake narrative, making a fake image. So that was the Jays helping you, making a fake image of black people. That's what they've been doing. They've been helping your ass, not us, morons. You know they own the media, like you say. That's true. They put out these fake narratives of black people. And then makes it easy for anybody to kill us with these fake and false narratives. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
Emphasize the need for white citizens to defend themselves against so-called black uprisings and the African-American neighborhoods. While mainstream media significantly played a destructive role, the black press served as a critical counterbalance, giving a more truthful account of the Red Summer's events and everything that occurred, and advocating for the rights and dignity of African Americans. Publications like the Chicago Defender, The Crisis, and the New York Age became the voices in telling the real story behind the racial violence. While the media played a role in stirring the violence, the local and federal government were also involved by their inaction or direct participation in the attacks. In many cases, local authorities failed to intervene as white mobs caused havoc on black communities.
Of course, they're white. They control the government.
Cities like Chicago and Washington, D.C. either remained adamant or actively sided with the white rioters. There are several reports of law enforcement officers turning blind eyes to the destruction of black property and the murder of black citizens while arresting African Americans who tried to defend themselves. While the government was indirectly involved, civil rights organizations like the NAACP stepped into the situation and challenged the racial violence
NAACP
under the leadership of personalities like
that fake ass
Du Bois.
Fake. He didn't lead shit. Another fake. That's why he left. Remember, he left him with the Ghana. He left years later because he knew the NAACP was fake, created by the Jays. It was never about anybody black. It's a fake black organization, not created by black people, not for black people. It's to create that tension between whites and black because white people are stupid. You know, we want to show you the board. The NAACP was started by the Jays. That's when that's the only thing you white people get right. That's the only thing you ever get right. So it was never a black organization. That's why Du Bois in 1950 got so disgusted, he left and moved his black ass to Ghana. Yeah, I'm out of here. Y'all crazy. They would never make his ass, they wouldn't even put his ass on the board. So him talking about W.E.B. Du Bois having any power in the NAACP is another lie. This dude's getting clicks and likes and shit. It's a lie. He left because NAACP refused to give him any power within that organization. They told his black ass kick rocks. Go ahead, Joey.
Towards the end of most of these videos, they have to do a certain propaganda. That is one thing I've noticed, you know, to get the YouTube likes and
they can't, yeah, because YouTube's got certain rules. Rules now, if you say you can't curse, you can't do anything, because all your videos now would be demonetized. They got to get that YouTube money, Joby. You can't say the N word, of course. You can't say the C word. Can't use no profanity at all.
So let me go to the comments as we get to continue on BitChute, also on YouTube. I see Jiba Jaba earlier was saying, so was the church bombing a false flag facilitated by the FBI and its informant to push
yeah. Remember yes, right. It was an informant. They were already working for the FBI, so most likely it was a false flag jibber jabber because those racists were informants of the FBI. If I told you FBI was never created to help anybody black, they were the ones who were going after the black groups. Remember with COINTELPRO, COINTELPRO they created to go after Martin Luther King and really Malcolm X and the Black Panthers and Fred Hampton to destroy it. COINTELPRO as the mulatto passing, J. Edgar Hoover said we must stop a black messiah. Our number one goal is to make sure these N-words stay in their place and don't ever overthrow the white power structure. Those are his words, this mulatto, right? So it was COINTELPRO, confidence, intelligent, counterintelligence program. So we know FBI was never a friend to anybody black, ever. They set up to destroy us.
Go ahead, Joe. Spade in the building, Karibu Sana. He says the greatest migration, however, ancient black left the north to go to the south because of the climate there are very old black towns in Illinois, pronouncing it correctly. I also see Sister Jewel. Karibu Sana, it's been a minute. I've not seen you in a while. She says the Democratic political party founded the KK in 1917 at Stone Mountain. Democratic origin political party, white banner bearing crown.
That's when they came back. Now they waited for 1970. The KKK was originated in the 1800s, Joe. Way before 1917. KKK was formed way over in Tennessee, way back in the 1860. I have Joby look it up. Joby said, what year was the Ku Klux Klan founded? 1860 some shit. 1870. Founded up in Tennessee somewhere. Way before 1917.
65.
Yeah, see, 1865. Yeah, way before 1970. I mean 1917. Way before that. That's when they came back again in 1917 at that storm. That's not the beginning, Jewel. That's when they reorganized themselves. Way back in 1865, the KKK was created right after the Civil War. We got to go terrorize these goddamn niggas. Yeah, always with these people. The racism, they live and breathe wickedness. They breathe it in. Go ahead, Joe.
And then we have on BitChute. Let me go to the comments we have here on BitChute.
Let's go to BitChute. Let's see what they say. Let's see what these high IQ white people are saying on BitChute.
Yeah, today they are in plenty in viewership. They're saying one of the persons says this is ridiculous, unbelievable, racist, and hateful representation of the truth. Your ignorance has always been your weakness.
See, we being racist, Joey, for showing that's how psychopath. We're showing who they are. It's our racism. This how crazy these people are. This history.
Another person says a black person walking alone in a white neighborhood is vastly safer than a white person walking alone in a black neighborhood.
A lie.
And then we have someone else who says, I don't know, maybe if uses the N word, maybe if the N people, apes, would stop committing over 50% of murders.
Hey, you commit the crime. See, you're the ape. And if you like to call black people, you're the only one with the ape genes. You got the thin lips like a chimpanzee. You got the flat ass like a chimpanzee. You got the white skin like a chimp, and you got chimp genetics. Stop projecting your chimpanzee shit on us. We don't got that in our DNA. You do. You got it. You're the Neanderthal here, moron. Not us. It's a fact. You seem like to call us the apes. You got the ape hair. Well, you got lice in it. You got the ape hair, not us. You do. Go ahead. What ape you seen with what ape you seen with an afro? None.
Literally. So yeah, he says, I don't know, maybe if the N people apes would stop committing over 50% of murders, maybe if you quit raping 30,000 white women, God only knows how many.
Raping 30,000 white women.
Mm-hmm. He also says God only knows how many other human women you are raping. Maybe if you quit resisting effing arrest every effing time, maybe if the N people apes got jobs, maybe if the N people apes would just knock the F off with the shitty attitudes, maybe you apes would be taken more seriously by white and other humans. And he also adds, okay, by the way, the N people apes commit more hate crimes than all other races combined. You hateful, violent, smelly stinkiness from hell. Cried for a year. You N apes, see if humans aren't little nicer.
I love it.
Precious murder monkeys. White people cried worldwide.
This is who they are. This is who they are. Filthy, degenerate. This is who they are, black people. This is you tell them with a straight psychopath. They don't want to talk about history. You tell history, you're being racist. Their whole history is debaucherous, filthy. That's who you are. Deal with it. They try to project your hatred on us. We don't hate like you people do. Okay? And the only apes, where you see an ape with an afro, moron, they got your hair. Their skin is your skin. Look at shave an ape. He's white like your ass. Shave a chimpanzee. You got the lips. You got the butt, the flat butts. Everything. That's you. And you got the DNA. That's you. You got that. That's us. Ape. You're the ape. Go ahead, Joe.
Crazy. Okay, shout out to Big Cheese, Karibu Sana, shout out to Byron Scott. Hope you're doing amazing, you guys, today. Big Cheese says, Joby, please don't tell the white people on Beach It that Jibba Jabba owns a piano. That's what
He better not let me coming to see Jibba Jabba. What you doing with that piano, boy?
Crazy. Jib also says, shave a chimp bald, it's pink. I know that's right.
Exactly. It's them. It's them. That's what's so funny. It's they ass. They the ones with the monkey genetics. They the ones look like the monkey. They got the monkey hair. They got the whole ape hair. But they let it come black people ape. It is crazy. They even know it. You know you're Neanderthal. You got the ape gene. You know it now. You know, and you still try to fight against it. You black people, I want you to be apes. We don't got ape genetics. You do. And then the question is again, how did you get it? How did you get that ape genetics? How did you get it? Huh? Tell me that. How did you get it? Go ahead, Joe.
Comment. Someone else says this is shameful, ignorant, and racist. But you can proliferate the same lies about white as the Jews do. It doesn't mean you're correct.
I told you the Jays are not told you. The Jays are now their new get out of jail free card. We don't want to admit we did. It's the Jays. It's the Jays. The Jays didn't make you wicked. You were already wicked. They took your wickedness and they just weaponized how wicked you bastards are. So it ain't the Jays that made you wicked. The top projected it on the Jews.
Mm-hmm. He or she adds that you should note that wealthy and successful blacks leave shitty urban areas and remove themselves as far away as possible from ghetto culture. No one with any brains wants to be around violent, low IQ people regardless of race.
Low IQ, regardless of race. The low IQ is you people. The fake, I told you about your fake IQ test. That's what they keep holding that. Shut that white guy on TikTok. We tell you the truth. Your IQ is fake. That's your culture, stupid. The fake IQ tests are fake. Why are you violent and filthy? How smart you gotta be to wash your ass? Huh? How smart you gotta be to keep your ball sack clean? How smart you gotta be? You wasn't doing that since you brought your high IQ. Until Africans brought you how to wash your ass. These are facts. Okay? You couldn't read or write. Black people taught you to read and write. But that's not in your fake history book.
And then, yeah,
So,
we still have.
and all we were doing was showing real films, but the real films is racist.
Yeah, so I'll share the rest of the comments as they keep on coming in. They're still coming in. I see other people on the live chat, but let them pile up, then I'll read more. But let me share this last video.
There's a live chat on BitChute too, Joby.
Yeah.
You'll get this work, you baloney smelling bastards.
Yeah, there are those who are on the live chat, there are those who are leaving the comments as they go, you know. And
That's why I like John the BitChute. Keep all your racists coming. Keep it coming. I love it. You just keep showing us how backward and retarded you are with your racism. Keep it coming. Go ahead, Joe.
So I'm going to share this video. This is the last one. Still talking about injustice. Their injustice, their improper behavior as we continue.
I want to tell you about another Black woman who suffered a horrific ordeal. The injustice and brutality that she faced was a result of her being both Black and a woman. This is an important story to tell because it's not just about one Black woman who suffered. Her story is a part of a larger story of Black women who have suffered under the weight of injustice and oppression. Black women who have been brutalized and mistreated for no other reason than they were Black women. This video and the story I'm going to tell you about is a continuation of another video I did about a Black child named Mary Booth. Mary was falsely accused and convicted and sentenced to die by hanging at age 13 for a crime that she did not commit. She suffered tremendously. From being almost lynched to being abused in prison, her life was full of pain. And so many of you were really touched and moved by Mary's story. So we decided to cover that topic more here in this video. There was so much more that I wanted to talk about as it relates to the demonization of Black women in the Mary Booth video, but I couldn't because it would have been too long. So what I want to do here is delve deeper into this subject and tell you another tragic story of a Black woman who suffered. I'm not going to repeat all of the historical context I shared in the Mary Booth video, so I encourage you to watch that video if you haven't already. I provide a really good history on how the narrative that Black women are dangerous was shaped and created. But I do want to share with you some additional information that I didn't get into in the last video. So give me a few moments to talk about this, and then I'll get into what happened to the Black woman. At least 150 Black women were lynched, and thousands more were attacked and violated by white mobs in the American South between the years of 1880 and 1965.
Did the the lynching and attack, did the Jays make you do it? Was it the Jews that made you go attack Black women and lynch them and rape them? Did the Jews make you do that too? That's your new trope. The Jews made me do it. Did the Jews make you do that? Attack all these innocent Black women, rape. Now you know you were raping Black women and hanging them, right? And then also eating them. Did the Jews make you eat them too? Okay, that's your new trope. The Jews made you do it. You're never responsible for none of your wicked shit. It's always some other shit make you be wicked. Through history, you're the most wickedest people on the planet. And everybody knows this. But you want to tell me now, it's the Jays that made you do it. Jays made you run down these women, hang them, beat them, rape them. It's the Jews made us do it. The Jews. Go ahead, Joby.
White Southerners' defense of this barbaric mob violence ritual. They maintained that this practice was necessary to protect white women who were being attacked by Black men. But the fact that so many Black women were lynched for things like arson and poisoning and causing offense to a white person contradicted this idea that lynching was only used on Black men to prevent attacks on white women. This was a lie. Lynching had nothing to do with protecting white women. It had to do with brutalizing Black people because they were Black. We know it was a lie because if the only reason for lynching was to protect white women from Black men, then that was a Black woman named Plymouth Fair lynched in 1893. A mob stormed the jail in Alabama and fired at her and 4 Black men
as they were in the cell who were accused of burning a white man's cotton gin. If lynching was only about protecting white women from black men, then Mahalia Jackson and Lou Carter would not have been lynched in 1893 in Quincy, Mississippi for being complicit in poisoning a white family, even though a coroner's jury found them innocent. A black woman named Julia Metz would not have been lynched in 1891 for allegedly setting fire to the barn of her employer, J.S. Blaylock. After being arrested, Julia was taken from the constable and hanged from a tree. I could keep going on and on and on with stories of
on and on
who were attacked and beaten and lynched well into the 20th century, and every time.
But this is racism. This is racism that you talk about white people and their savagery. We're being racist to the white people about their savagery. Wah! How dare you teach us about us being savages? You're being racist.
You got a piano. You got a piano. I'm coming.
White newspapers would often defend lynchings of black women. They would describe black women as being vicious and dangerous or monstrous. Public opinion had to be swayed in favor of lynching when it came to women. So the white press made sure that black women were portrayed in the worst possible light to justify the mob's actions against them.
Of course.
It was easy to justify the lynching of a black man. The accusations of violating white women received no pushback when it came to lynching black men. But that wasn't the case for black women. There was no comparable crime that would justify the lynching of a black woman. So the monstrous and dangerous black woman had to be created. The lynchings of black women exposed the real reason behind Southern lynching, and that was to ensure that the caste system that kept black people on the bottom was maintained at all costs. This idea of black women poisoning white families went back to slavery. Enslaved black people not only worked in the fields, but also in the slave owners' homes. And slave owning whites maintained a fear about being poisoned by the enslaved black people that they were keeping in bondage and brutalizing.
Yeah, you brutalized them, and some of you did get poisoned. They would. I love the way the black women would cut up glass so refined and bake it in a cake, and it cut your ass up while you ate that shit. That's right. So some are right. That's right. Some of them did get poisoned. You thought it was good to keep other human beings? You thought that was normal? You rape, beat, kill. Oh, you got rich off the backs of black people, and then today claim that never happened. That the wealth of the country wasn't built off the backs of black people. That's what you say. That's what you say today. The nonsense you say. Go ahead, Joker.
South Carolina passed a law that made it illegal for a black person to teach another black person anything about any poisonous plant, herb, root, or poison. It made this crime punishable by death.
Crazy.
In Charleston, an enslaved black woman was burned alive after a white infant came up sick, and they accused her of poisoning that child. In 1886, a black woman named Eliza Mills was accused of poisoning
them because them child got sick. Burnt her alive. This is your way. Did the Jays make you do that? Was it the Jays that did that too? We're doing what the Jay trope you savages keep using. Did the Jews make you burn the black lady alive? Huh? All your savagery you keep now. It's the Jays. It's the Jays. It's not us. It's the Jays that made us be savages. Go ahead, Joker.
Worked for as a cook named Mary Wooten. It was claimed that Mary Wooten had arsenic in her stomach, and when Eliza's house was searched, a rat poison called rough on rats was found in it. That was all the evidence that was needed to accuse, arrest, and lynch Eliza. A mob of 1,000 men formed and dragged Eliza from the jail, stripped her naked, and hanged her from a tree in front of the courthouse. After she was hanged, the mob fired the body.
Why would she have to be naked?
Eliza as a black female devil who deserved what she got. This was the environment that black women were living in. They were under full assault at all times from all directions.
Why would she have to be naked? Because you defiled the body. You only hung her. Why would you strip her naked? Because you're savages. Did the Jays make you do that too? The Jays? Did the Jays make you do that? Was it the Jays again making you a savage? Go ahead, Joey.
That Jenny Steers found herself in when she became another black woman to suffer at the hands of those who did not see her as human and were quick to accuse, convict, and execute her without taking a breath or blinking an eye. Jenny Steers was born Jenny Clayton in August of 1877 in Northwest Louisiana. Both her mother and her father were from Louisiana. We don't know their names because we weren't able to locate any census records before the year 1900 that will help us to detail Jenny's family history. Jenny never attended school and could not read or write. In September of 1898, she married a man named Alex Steers. Together, they had 2 children, a son named Walter, who was born 1 year before they married in 1897, and a son named Robert, who was born in 1900. Something happened between 1898 when Jenny and Alex married because the 1900 U.S. Census, which was taken in early June, states that Jenny was a widow raising her 2 sons by herself. Around this time, Jenny worked as a farmer and a sharecropper.
They don't killed her husband. They don't killed his ass.
This was about 30 miles down the river from Shreveport. Sometime in the summer of 1900, Jenny moved to Shreveport. She worked as a domestic worker in the home of a white woman named Alice Matthews.
Of course, we gotta work as your domestic. We gotta wash your filthy ass blankets, wash your filthy asses, and everything else. We gotta be a domestic. See, this is what I tell you guys about black love and the things you see online now. You can't have real black love today, guys, because we were socially and physically kept out of the economy. You got black women being domestics for these goddamn no good bastards. You got black men who can't earn a living, so you can't create a real family unit because of the oppression. Understand this? We can't date like the like white people. We didn't have the money. You're constantly under oppression from these savages. Go ahead, Joe.
Area and ran a boarding house that sometimes had as many as 35 people staying there at a single time. Before I get into what happened to Jenny Steers, it's important for me to give you one more piece to this horrific story. It can be argued that this incident was one of the reasons whites in Shreveport were so quick to condemn Jenny Steers. In April of 1903, tragedy struck the Matthews home. On Saturday, April 12, 1903, someone broke into the home of Alice Matthews in the early morning hours and brutally attacked Alice and her 10-year-old daughter, Eileen. Alice was attacked with an axe and died from her injuries. Eileen was also seriously injured, but she ended up surviving. It wasn't until 6 a.m. when a black woman named Mary Wells, who worked as a cook, and Jenny Steers, who worked as a housemaid, arrived to begin their day at work when the gruesome crime scene was discovered. When Mary and Jenny reached the kitchen, they saw a bloody footprint on the floor. This led to the bedroom where the 2 women discovered Alice Matthews, who had been horrifically attacked and left for dead. The scene was so bloody.
You know what was a white man that did this. These women didn't do that. They were women. They wouldn't beat it. So they're going to be accused of doing something they know. They know a white person did this. That's how they do it. They know a white man killed this lady, killed her child. They know that. But they got to get some kind of fake justice called, say these black women were involved. Black women scared as shit back then to go to anybody's White House. They didn't want to be in their damn house because they know any kind of accusation they'd be hung, beat, raped, and stripped naked. Okay? So you know the women didn't kill her because it wasn't a personal thing. These are brutal, violent crimes that white people do. You're the serial killers, moron. To say your fake narrative saying black people are the most violent is nonsensical. We know that's fake. That's your fake Jewish media. Now, I agree with that. That's your Jewish media. You are the serial killers. Why do you think most white people are the serial killers? You are the pedophiles. That's you. White men. You're the majority of pedophilia. You're the majority of serial killers. That's a fact. That's your ass. You kill people in serial numbers. You're the pedophiles. Every time you turn around, you got some white man's penis in a little kid's mouth. That's your ass. Wear it. Wear what you do. Be proud of it. You want to tell me about all your fake civilization. Be proud that you put your penis in little boys' mouths. That's your ass. Go ahead, Joe. Pedophile one crazy.
Jenny screamed out in fear and woke everyone in the home. Alice was attacked with an axe as she slept in her bed. When 10-year-old Eileen heard her mother being attacked, she came to see what was going on. The intruder then struck her twice over the head with the axe. Eileen was discovered next to her mother's body. She played dead during the attack. She barely survived what happened. This crime shocked all of Shreveport. Everyone wanted to know how this happened, who did it, and when they would be captured. There was no clear motive because all of Alice Matthews' valuable jewelry was left on her person and in her room. Her diamond rings were still on her fingers when her body was discovered. The police began investigating immediately. A coroner's jury was also called to investigate this incident. Shortly after the discovery of Alice Matthews' body, police received a note at the Shreveport Police Headquarters saying that a black man was seen with blood stains on his shirt. Police immediately put together a search party and went looking for this unknown black man in the area.
Exactly. So we know the old black man trope. We know from now all the way to they always a black man here, man, black man. Every time they do this, it's always a lie. It's always a white man. This the black. They've been using this all until today. It was a black man trope shit. You guys know it. And we can go through Jovial Disco. Case after case in the last 20 years of the fake black man shit. A black man did it, it's always some white man who did shit. Always. They do vicious crimes as they savage you. They commit the majority of crimes on the planet. They got the fake, you black people, they don't commit the crimes you do. You are immune from crime because of your white skin. You got the complexion for the protection. You don't go to prison for your wicked ass crimes. Okay? That's a fact. Go ahead, Joker. They're gonna hang these women,
After
I bet.
searching, police spotted a 35-year-old black man named Albert Washington coming out of the woods, walking towards the road. Albert had no connection with Alice Matthews.
Nothing to do with it. Come out the woods.
The police said that Albert had blood on his shirt, and when they asked him to stop, he ran. The police fired at Albert as he ran away and took his life. His body was then stolen from the undertaker and burned on the street in downtown Shreveport for all to see.
They took his life, they burned him. No trial. Exactly. He just come out the woods, mind his own business. Had nothing to do with the white lady, didn't even know her. But he's out there, coming out the woods. Sit him down, killed him, and then burned his ass up. Did the Jays make you do that? Was it the Jews? Did the Jews make you do that too? The Jews make you do everything. Go ahead, Joe.
Albert worked in Bossier Parish as a laborer on a plantation. The two white men he worked for said that Albert had worked for them all day, and afterwards, he and other black men took the train to Shreveport. Once in Shreveport, Albert went to the hospital to see his wife, who was sick. When he arrived at the hospital, he was told that she had been moved to DeSoto Parish. Albert made his way to the train, and it was during this walk to the train that he was stopped by the police, and they took his life. A grand jury was later convened
to the train. He worked all day. He went to see his wife, and just going to see his wife got him murdered because he's black. That's what happens. Did the Jays make you do that? Was it the Jays? He walking, see his wife who was sick, come out the hospital. Now he supposedly murdered someone he don't even know. They said he came from the train 20 miles away from Shreveport. You don't know what you're talking about. Did some Jays make you murder this man and burn his body? You didn't just kill him. You burnt his body like you always do. Like you always do. Did the Jays make you do that too? Go ahead, Joe.
Judge Alfred D. Land presided over the grand jury, and he told the grand jury members that the police had the lawful right to take the life of Albert Washington to prevent his escape. But after investigating, the grand jury still had no idea as to the motive for the crime. But there was one more thing that was discovered that officials were starting to realize, and that was that Albert Washington had nothing to do with Alice Matthews' death. All of this set the stage for what was going to happen to Jenny Steers. With her employer dead,
were these police who murdered the black man and burnt his body, are they going to be held responsible? Of course not, because you're white and savage. You're not going to be held responsible for killing an innocent man. And you want to know what white privilege is? That's white privilege right there, stupid. We don't know what white privilege are. They never kill black people and don't have any consequence. That's white privilege. Let me help you out. And did the Jays make you do that? Was it the Jays again? That's your new fake trope. The Jays made you do it. The Jays made us all do this wicked stuff. Go ahead, Joe.
On the Cross Keys plantation. The plantation was now owned by John Dolan. He was a very prominent citizen in Shreveport, and he was also someone who was no friend to black people. He once bragged about how he was glad that white rule had been restored to the South after Reconstruction ended. The Dolans had a daughter named Elizabeth. She was around 16 years old in 1903. On July 25th of that year, Elizabeth became ill, and she died after consuming a cup of lemonade that had been poisoned with strychnine. It's a toxic, odorless, and colorless pesticide that can be fatal if ingested. When Elizabeth died, papers all across the state carried the story. She was the daughter of one of the state's most powerful and prominent white men. Without any real reason, suspicion quickly turned to Jenny being the one who gave Elizabeth the poison lemonade. And just like that, plans began to be made to find Jenny and lynch her. Jenny must have seen that she was in danger. Careful Jenny must have been. Here was this 26-year-old widowed mother of 2 boys. And this was a time when segregation and racial discrimination was seen as normal. Yeah, no one protected black people. Jenny had already seen what happened to Albert Washington just 3 months before. And we can safely assume that she was aware of other black people who had been brutalized and lynched. She likely was consumed with fear for herself, but also for her 2 boys. A mob of white men searched the area looking for Jenny. After searching all over, they found her hiding in a hayloft near Bayou Lachute. When the men found Jenny, they questioned her about the Dolan girl's death. Jenny denied having anything to do with the girl's death, but the mob did not care. That don't mean anything. Dragged out, and Jenny was taken back to Cross Keys Plantation. This must have been terrifying for Jenny because this was not a situation that black people typically made it out alive from. Once back at the plantation, the Dolan family identified Jenny as the one who poisoned their daughter. The mob then took Jenny to a nearby tree. They tied a rope around her neck. They tied her hands and her feet. The mob then asked Jenny to confess to the crime. Jenny again said that she did not poison the girl.
Did the Jays make you do that?
And hung 26-year-old Jenny Steers from the tree until she was dead. As her body dangled, members of the mob fired at Jenny. After Jenny was lynched, the press and public continued to go after her. Papers expressed regret for her death, not because they believed that Jenny was innocent, but because they wanted Jenny to tell them what happened to Alice Matthews. People began saying that Jenny was the one who attacked Alice Matthews and her daughter Aline. Jenny was now portrayed as a diabolical black woman who attacked respected white women. One paper actually said this. It said that Jenny was one of the most diabolical female criminals that the country had ever known. Initially, the press and the police advanced the theory that a man attacked Alice Matthews and her daughter for the purpose of violating them. But after Jenny Steers was lynched, the press did a 180 and presented a new theory that was designed to blame Jenny Steers. By late July, after Jenny's lynching, the press said that it was robbery and not outrage and violation that was the motive for the Matthews crime, and that a woman was the culprit because the wounds on Alice Matthews' body were too shallow to have been inflicted by a man. After initially claiming that nothing had been stolen, the papers reported that money was missing. The story was altered to make it seem like Jenny Steers was the brutal attacker to justify her lynching. The press also said that Jenny had previously tried to take Elizabeth's life on 2 prior occasions. They said the first time, Jenny put strychnine in Elizabeth's lemonade, but that she refused to drink it because she sensed that something was in it. On the second alleged attempt, they said that Jenny had tried to lure Elizabeth into a rowboat to drown her, but Elizabeth was afraid of water and refused to get in.
This is how wicked they are. These are lies they make to justify their evilness. All wicked lies. Consumed with these wicked. This is evil. That's what it is. Evil. People have a level of evilness that black people you can't fathom. Evil. That's what it is. It's evil. Go ahead, Joe.
Elizabeth was engaged to a white man that Jenny had been intimate with. The rumors about Jenny were outlandish.
now she was with the white man.
She was violent and that she had gambled outside the church with black men. One paper said that Jenny was so violent and so strong that once she fought another black woman in the field and it was difficult to pull Jenny off of the other black woman. All of this hysteria about the violent, villainous black woman who was driven by sexual passions was designed to create fear of Jenny and justify the lynching of her. They wanted to make sure that no one felt sorry for Jenny Steers or any other black woman. I should also tell you that after Jenny was lynched and blamed for the Matthews crime, just 1 month later, a similar attack took place. In August of 1903, a white couple in Shreveport, Robert and May Smith, were brutally attacked in their beds as they slept. The intruder used an axe. May died from her injuries. It was at this time that the press changed their story once again.
It's gonna be a serial killer. It's gonna be a serial killer. That's the white man. Sees a serial thing doing the same shit again. They know they know it's them. They know it's them. See, they done made them fake tropes about them being with all the media. The white is good. They're the most racist. They're the most violent. They're the most wickedest motherfuckers on the planet. And we know that's a fact, not from the fake movies they do. So they knew right there that they had the real killer who done it again because they are the serial killers. And the bitch, they always killing in numbers, but they'd always hang the black woman. And they knew she was innocent. They knew that. But see, understand, they liked it. That's why I say you only see white people have picnics and smile when they got hanging black people. They like that shit. They get pleasure and joy out of their wickedness. You hang people, you smile and laugh, eat, have a picnic. That's the the Jays made them do that, and if we say, and if we talk about it, we're racist. We're the racists. We didn't hang anybody and have a picnic around their goddamn bodies. You did that. But the Jays made you do it, and we're racist for saying it. You are a complete psychopath. Go ahead.
As we come closer to winding up.
In this crime to that of Alice and Aline Matthews, and also with that of two other women, Josephine LaCow and Marie Wheeler. Two women attacked in the same way before the Matthews crime. Now the press and the authorities were sure that it was a single man who was responsible for all the crimes. A reversal from when they had said that a woman, mainly Jenny Steers, was responsible for all of this. The police claimed that a man named Jim Reed confessed to the crime and was responsible for attacking Robert and May Smith.
They knew it was a man.
The police said that Jim was having a relationship with May,
man.
But in 1904, a jury was unable to reach a verdict in Jim's case. An interesting twist that we found was that Jim Reed was represented by A.D. Land Jr., the son of the judge who said that it was lawful to take Albert Washington's life. And the prosecutor was Judge Land's brother, John Land. At Jim Reed's second trial, the prosecution dropped all charges against him and said that they had no evidence that he had committed the attack. After it was all said and done, 3 black people had been blamed for Alice Matthews' death. 2 had lost their lives as a result of it: Albert Washington and Jenny Steers. Neither had anything to do with this crime.
Exactly. They know the white man, and the white man got off. The white man got off. That's called white privilege, white people. Okay? White man gets off. He murdered, knocking people in the head with axes and shit. But we don't know. We don't know what's going on. So you hang an innocent 26-year-old woman, and you still talk about your fake Jesus. Like I told you, you take your fake God and shove him in your ass, okay? Your unwashed ass, that's what you do, okay? Don't give me nothing about your fake God. I don't want to hear it. Go ahead, Joby.
Press were quick to justify Jenny Steers' lynching because they claimed that she was responsible for 2 white women's deaths.
Now
We don't know if Jenny poisoned Elizabeth Dolan. There is strong evidence to suggest that she did not. But what we do know is that her being a black woman during a time when black women were demonized and made out to be monsters gave all the cover that was needed for the mob to lynch her and never ask a single question. At the time of Jenny's death, her son Walter was 5 and her other son was 3. We don't know what happened to them, but what we do know is that in the span of 3 years, they lost both their mother and their father.
They probably were killed.
They too lived the rest of their lives likely under Jim Crow rule in the South. They lived and died lives filled with injustice, filled with pain, and filled with horrific memory. Being black has always been associated with criminality. Stories were created and exaggerated to justify brutality against black people and black women.
Exactly.
If you were black, there was no need to conduct an investigation or ask any questions. Being black convicted you and executed you. I want to know your thoughts on the story.
Yeah, so that's the video. And this,
we got any more BitChute comments, or are they gone away?
They're gone, but the views are still increasing. So I bet by tomorrow we'll find many comments literally, because the views are going up and up. But yes, as we come to the end of today's conversation, I see Jiba Jabba 10 Speed says white people are very comfortable at the zoo, and the smell at the zoos does not bother them. They are from the zoo. I mean, I also see Jiba says, I love when Joby reads the racist comments. I make them sound stupid. I
do.
Sister Jo also says Neanderthal mankind scientifically proven to carry a bloodline rhesus mulatto mark. I can read that, Sister Joe. I don't know. I always tell you, you always use some hard terms. I don't know, sometimes, man. I can't. Because says history has shown that white women have been the most loyal women on earth. She has stood by her men.
The white man, yeah, the most diabolical, exactly. With all the diabolical. That's why I said I don't know how the black women was fooled to try to think that they were going to be. They now understand that they're not their friends. They're not your sister girl. You know, black women finally been slapped in the face. It only took them 50 years. Hey, white women ain't gonna never get right. They ain't gonna never do right by us. Yeah, they're loyal to their white man who stole the world for them. Yes, took you 50 years to figure it out. Go it.
I also see Diba says, check out the book 100 Years of LinkedIn, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
100 Years of Lynching. Yeah.
By Ralph Ginsburg. It has newspaper chronicles of the period recounting the terror. And I also see he says that today they say you fit the description. Shout out to the Royal Constrictor, Karibu Sana. Jason says this is crazy. Sister Joel says keep the origin of the wedding picnic hails from after church on Sunday, pick a nigga. Yeah, he's been saying that.
Yeah, I said that. I've been to the, I know that, Joe. Yeah, pick a Negro to go hang lynch. That's where they would sit down, do their Sunday best at the church, eat their sandwiches, where they had like a black woman or a black man hanging, smiling with their babies in there, smiling. Ooh, look at that. Look at the black people we kill it. Then cut off their genitals and put them in jars. Then burn them like they say, burn them alive. And then eat the body. That was also where the term barbecue came from. They barbecue your ass, eat you.
Crazy. But yeah, we're coming to the end of today's
family.
I hope you guys have enjoyed. Shout out to 10 Speed.
That was a fun show.
Yeah. So yeah, tomorrow we're gonna share the pyramids. I know I was supposed to share about the pyramids, so we'll take it over from there tomorrow as we get to see literally the greatest discovery of our ancient history. So much love, family. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined us. Sister Jewel, nice to see you. It's been a minute. And to everyone, literally all the silent listeners as well. If this is your first time, once again, subscribe. Either if you're on YouTube, Rumble.
Jovis got thick skin first. Jovis didn't like all the hate come from BitChute. I love it. It gives me power. I eat it up. I love it.
Thick skin, like you said, grown, period. You know, that's the sad. But much love, family. See you guys tomorrow. Have yourselves a beautiful day. Peace.
Peace. Yeah, we up to 95, I think 96 subscribers over there on BitChute.
Yeah, they're growing slowly. Rumble is the one that, the numbers are going up quicker and quicker. But yeah, much love, family.
I think we're like at 705 or something, almost 1,000 on Rumble.
Yeah, also YouTube is going fast right now. So much love, family. Be safe. Take care.
What's the numbers on? I'll never look at that YouTube shit. What's the number? I don't trust that YouTube shit. What's the numbers on YouTube, Joby?
We're almost hitting 20K. We are at 19.5 right now.
Ever reach 20,000? Time to take us down. So watch out. Watch out, my cursing. Ever hit 20,000 is coming down, Joby.
You better be careful. It's up to you now to be careful with the cursing and all that.
All right. I ain't cuss. I call freaking beast and all that stuff, but I ain't used no cussing. I've been good with my cursing. I read the whole thing.
Okay. Yes, much love, family. See you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place, right here on the Black on Fire Network.
Yeah, they gave us back our hey, you guys can hit the what's the name of that thing on YouTube? The super chat. That's right. You can hit also if you're on Rumble, you can hit the super chat on Rumble.
Period.
But yeah, but it's see, that's Joby cussing, not me. That's Joby cussing, not me. Anyway, I'm about to say anyway. Yeah, but it's better if you send the money through Cash App, because YouTube take half that money anyway. So I don't care about no super chat. They take all that money anyway.
God damn. So Big Cheese increased $6 last week.
Yeah, I think Big Cheese gave us $4.99. I think YouTube take like $3 of that shit.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
YouTube take it. Yeah, YouTube take the majority of that money. So,
not nice. Not nice.
Yeah, they gonna get their cut.
Give me my 3 pieces of KFC kindly, not one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so if you go donate, go to the website, guys. Go to blackempirenetwork.com, look at the donate page, or go to Cash App. Let's screaming across Joey's face right there.